Good morning, everyone. My name is Preseline F. Dasilio, and I will be the first presenter for today. Our topic for today will mainly focus on rhythm. The notion of rhythm also occurs in other arts, for example, in poetry, painting, sculpture, and architecture, as well as in nature, for example, is in biological rhythms. But today's discussion will focus on the rhythm in music. In order to meet today's discussion, a learning objective is given, wherein at the end of the discussion, the learners are expected to first, define what is rhythm. Second, reflect the importance of rhythm in music. Third, identify the basic concepts of rhythm. Rhythm is music's pattern in time. Whatever other elements a given piece of music may have, for example, patterns in pitch or timbre, rhythm is the one indispensable element of all music. In the way that rhythm can exist without melody, but melody cannot exist without rhythm.
Rhythm in music is the placement of sounds in time. It comes from a Greek word rhythmus, derived from rain, which is to flow. It's an ordered alteration of contrasting elements. The notion of rhythm also occurs in other art, for example, in poetry, painting, sculpture, and architecture. Rhythm has more to do with our uniquely human perception of time. This means that there is already a rhythm within us, and it is one of the fundamental aspects of music theory. Rhythm involves patterns of duration that are phenomenally present in the music, with duration perceived by the enter and set interval. Rhythm is very hard to define, but it's what makes music music, in the sense that rhythm is the element of time. When you tap your foot to the music, you are keeping the beat, or following the structural rhythmic pulse of the music. But why is rhythm so important in music? And today, we are going to tackle some of these reasons. First and foremost, rhythm is the essential ingredient in music, in the way that if there's no rhythm, there is no music. Second, it functions as the propulsive engine of a piece of music, and it gives a composition structure. Without rhythm, a musician will be easily get lost in music and be out of sync. Most musical ensembles contain a rhythm section responsible for providing the rhythmic backbone for the entire group. For example, the drums, percussion, bass, guitar, piano, and synthesizer may all be considered as rhythm instruments, but depending on the context. However, all members of a music group bear responsibility for their own rhythmic performances and play the musical beats and rhythmic patterns created by the piece composer. To better understand what is rhythm and why is it so important, let's proceed to its basic concepts. First is the beats. The beat is the unit division of musical time. Just as one is aware of the body's steady pulse or heartbeat, so in composing, performing, or listening to music, one is aware of a periodic succession of beats, in the sense that our heartbeat like the beats in the music. Beat can be classified into strong or weak, and one quarter note is equals to 1 second is the note. The rhythm in a piece of music is also determined by the length of notes used within each measure. Notes can sound long or short, which helps create slow and fast rhythms. The basic building blocks of note lengths or note values are whole notes, which is 4 beats, half notes for 2 beats, quarter notes for 1 beat, and 8 notes for 1/2 of a beat, while 16 is equals to 1/4 of a beat. Third is the time signature in bars, or also known as measures. There is an underlying pulse in all music that can be contained within a specific measure of time. This measure of time is referred to as a musical bar or measure. It indicates the number of beats per measure and how long these beats last. Time signatures look like fractions. For example, In a time signature of 2/4, the top number shows us 2 beats are in each measure, and bottom number, which is 4, shows us the quarter note gets 1 beat. While in a time signature with a 4 on the bottom, such as 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, 5/4, and so on, a beat corresponds with a quarter note. So, in a 4/4 time, also known as common time, each beat is the length of a quarter note, and every 4 beats form a full measure. Additionally, in 5/4 time, every 5 beats form a full measure. In a time signature with an 8 on the bottom, such as 3/8, 6/8, or 9/8, a beat corresponds with an 8th note. Most popular music has a time signature of 4/4, which is 4 quarter notes per measure. Meter. Rhythm involves patterns of duration that are phenomenally present in the music, with duration perceived by entrance at interval. When governed by rule, it is called meter. Additionally, in a standard Western music theory, divides time signatures into 3 types of musical meter: double meter, triple meter, and quadruple meter, wherein double meter appears beat in a group of 2, while in triple meter, the beats appear in a group of 3, and in quadruple meter, the beats appear in groups of 4. Musicians and composers regularly mix double and triple meter in their work. For example, is Igor Stravinsky's The Rite of Spring is a textbook example of such a technique. Meter is not tied to note values. For instance, a triple meter could involve 3 half notes, 3 quarter notes, 3 8 notes, 3 16 notes, or 3 notes of any duration. Tempo. Rhythm is the way that music is systematically divided into beats that repeat a specific number of times within a bar at a collectively understood speed or tempo. The pace of the fundamental beat is called tempo. Tempo is an Italian word which means time. The expressions slow tempo and quick tempo suggest the existence of a tempo that is neither slow nor fast, but rather moderate. Lento is slowly, that has a beats per minute of 40 to 65. Largo is slow and stately, that has a beat per minute of 66 to 75. Adagio is leisurely, which has a beat per minute of 76 to 107. Andante at a walking pace, that has a beat per minute of 108 to 119. Allegro, which is fast, has a beat of 120 to 167. Vivace, which is lively, and lastly, presto, which is very quickly, has a beats per minute of 168 to 200. A moderate tempo is assumed to be that of a natural walking pace, which is 76 to 80 paces per minute, or of a heartbeat of 72 per minute. The tempo of a piece of music indicated by a composer is however neither absolute nor final. In performance, it is likely to vary according to the performer's interpretative ideas or to such considerations as the size reverberation of the hall, the size of the ensemble, and to a lesser extent, but a change within such limits does not affect the rhythmic structure of a work. Bato. The tempo of a work is never inflexible mathematical. It is impossible to adhere in a musical manner to the metronomic beat for any length of time. In a loosely knit passage, a tautening of tempo may be required. In a crowded passage, a slackening may be needed. Such modifications of tempo, known as tempo rubato, or commonly rub time, are part of the music's character. Rubato needs to be framework of an inflexible beat from which it can depart and to which it must return. Syncopated rhythms are those that do not align with the downbeats of individual measures. A syncopated beat will put its emphasis on traditional weak beats, such as the second eighth note in a measure of a fourth-fourth, Complex rhythms tend to include syncopation. While these rhythms may be more difficult for a beginning musician to pick up, they tend to sound more striking than non-syncopated rhythmic patterns. Accents refer to the special emphasis on certain beats. To understand accents, think of a piece of poetry. A poetic meter, such as a iambic pentameter, may dictate a specific mixture of stressed syllables and unstressed syllables. Musical accents are no different. Different rhythms may share a time signature, in the sense that different rhythms may share a time signature in tempo, but they stand out from one another by accenting different notes and beats. And lastly, for today's discussion of the concept is polyrhythms. Polyrhythms originated in African drumming, and they've spread to all sorts of genres worldwide, from Afro-Caribbean to Indian to progressive rock, jazz, and contemporary classical. To achieve a particularly ambitious sense of rhythm, an ensemble may employ polyrhythm, which layers one type of rhythm on top of other. For instance, a salsa percussion ensemble may feature congas and bongos playing 4/4 time, while the timbales concretely play a pattern in 3/8. This creates a dense rhythmic stew, and when properly executed, it can yield incredibly danceable rhythm patterns. To move forward, the second reporter, Cindy Fulgencio, will report about the rhythmic terms.
Good day to all of you. I am here to discuss to you the different rhythmic terms that we usually found when we are studying about music. So, here it goes. Let's see if you are familiar with these terms. Are you familiar with those terms? If not, don't worry. I am here to help you understand the meaning of those terms. First is rhythm. The term rhythm has more than one meaning. It can be mean basic, repetitive pulse of the music, or a rhythmic pattern which is repeated throughout the music. It can also refer to the pattern in time of a single small group of notes. Kumbaga, yung rhythm yung nagbibigay buhay sa isang awitin. Another is beat. Beat refers to music with a steady pulse or the pulse itself. It may also refer to a specific repetitive rhythmic pattern that maintains the pulse, such as the Latin beat. Yung beat, siya yung parang pulso na nagdarama natin sa tuwing nakikinig tayo ng isang awitin. Also, measure or bar. Measure or bar refers to a grouping of a specified number of musical beats located between two consecutive vertical lines on staff. Beats are grouped into measures or bars. The first beat is usually the strongest, and in most music, most of the bars have the same number of beats. Syncopation. A syncopation refers to a temporary displacement of the regular metrical accent in music caused by stressing the weak beat. Parang syncopations injects life into all genres of music. Then, rhythmic unit. Rhythmic unit is a durational pattern which occupies a period of time equivalent to a pulse or pulses on an underlying metric level. Parang ito yung hangganan or how the rhythm can last. Yung tinutukoy ng rhythmic unit. Another is rhythmic features. Rhythmic features describes the pattern of beats in the music or song. Rhythmic features also describe something that you can clap or tap in a piece of song. Ito yung features niya na pwede mong sabayan ng clapping of your hands or tapping of your feet on the floor. Parang ganun siya. So, yun yung rhythmic features. Another is rhythmic section. A rhythm section generally consists of percussion instruments and possibly chordal instruments like guitar or banjo, and keyboard instruments such as piano. It usually provides the background rhythm and chords to the music. Parang siya yung nag-a-add ng saliw, yung nagbibigay buhay. Then, why is rhythm important on music? Let's find out. Rhythm is the essential ingredient in music in the way that if there's no rhythm, there's no music. Parang yun nga, pag wala siyang rhythm, hindi mo siya matatawag na music. Wala kang mabubuong music pag wala kang rhythm. Also, it functions as the propulsive engine of a piece of music, and it gives a composition structure. Without rhythm, a musician will be easily get lost in music and be out of sync. Parang siya yung nag-guide sa musician. Most musical ensembles contain a rhythm section responsible for providing the rhythmic backbone for the entire group. Drums, percussion, bass, guitar, piano, and synthesizer may all be considered rhythm instruments, depending on the context. However, all members of a music group bear responsibility for their own rhythmic performances and play the musical beats and the rhythmic patterns indicated by the piece of composer. So, yun yung importance ng music at yung mga rhythmic terms. I hope meron kayong naintindihan. And thank you!